This week, December 4th through the 10th, is National Hand Washing Awareness Week. TGMC would like to raise awareness in the community on the importance of washing your hands to prevent the spread of disease and keep you and your family healthy during the cold and flu season. Joining us this week is Dr. Mary Eschete, an infectious disease specialist with Terrebonne General Medical Center.
Okay, as you heard during the intro, we have Dr. Mary Eschete joining us for tonight's show, to your health segment, to talk about National Hand Washing Awareness Week. Okay, Dr. Eschete, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. So tell us, why is hand washing so very important?
Hand washing is important because it's the single most important thing that we can do to prevent the spread of infections. We take the bacteria are picked up from one person and spread to another. Most bacteria do not fly through the air. There are a few that do, but most don't. So you've got to wash your hands. That's why the CDC is pushing trying to get people to wash their hands. People just don't wash their hands.
Okay.
We're trying to make them do it.
Okay. And what diseases can actually be prevented from proper hand washing?
Hepatitis A,
okay,
which is viral infection of the liver, which is spread by the hand to the mouth.
Okay.
Fecal oral route. The several types of meningitis, although some are also contagious through the air, and diarrheal illnesses and pneumonia. The big diarrheal illnesses are the noroviruses, the rotaviruses, Shigella, Salmonella. It only takes 10 Shigella to cause disease, which is a horrible diarrheal disease. The other disease there's some other E. coli viruses that bacteria that cause hemolytic uremic syndrome. Has a bunch of numbers behind it, which doesn't
sounds
really,
like it.
Yeah, OX. You don't even have to know the numbers. You just got to know. You got to wash your hands.
Just wash your hands. Okay.
Right. You got to wash your hands at multiple times that you don't think about. You got to wash your hands before you fix the food, after you fix the food, after you go to the bathroom, after you change a child's diaper. You should actually wash your hands before you touch the children, so you don't spread it. It also, the other thing is, when you're doing this, the children learn. They learn by example.
Right.
They see mama wash the hands, and then they know to wash their hands. They see daddy wash the hands, and they'll know to wash. And so it's part of a learning process to make them do it, but it does do it. The other times do it, if you have a wound, if you have a cut or something, you wash the wound, but if you're taking care of somebody else's wounds, you should wash your hands before you take care of the wound, okay, and then wash them afterwards. I mean, you should wash your hands before you put your contacts in. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of these things are just, you think of as common sense, but you realize, I've been a doctor for a long time now, and the number of people I see that don't do this is just astounding. I said, what do you mean? You change your child's bloody diarrheal stew and you didn't wash your hands?
When you hear it, it sounds like it's common sense.
But when you're in a hurry and your child is sick, you may not do it. The other thing is, if you're cleaning up, I don't mean to offend anyone, if you're cleaning up vomit behind someone, you should wash your hands before and after that.
Absolutely.
If you touch an animal or an animal's toys, you need to do that, or clean up his waste. Things you don't think about. You have a bird, and the bird's in the cage. You change the bird stuff. You need to wash your hands afterwards. You change your kitty cat's
litter box.
You got to wash your hands afterwards.
That would be like one of the top things I would wash my hands after.
I grew up on a farm, and in town, and we always had chickens, and we had eggs, and my job was to pick up the eggs. But we always had to wash our hands afterwards. the hit of our birthday parties was to get to pick up an egg.
Oh.
And my mother and daddy made everyone come back in the house and wash their hands out afterwards. Everybody thought that we were a little strange because we all had to wash our hands.
And look at you here today.
That's right. I mean, that was the beginning of a long line. It's something you wouldn't think about. You need to also do it if you have a cold. You
Okay.
need to wash your hands a lot. If you blow your kid's nose, you need to wash your hands afterwards. We also have down here, after public transportation and computers, everything gets contaminated with things, with bacteria and viruses. And some viruses are incredibly, it takes incredibly few of them to start an infection. And so that's why you've got to do it. If you handle raw seafood of any type, fish, shrimp, oysters, after you handle them, you need to wash your hands. You handle raw poultry, you need to wash your hands afterwards.
What about, say, before and after going into or leaving the doctor's office?
Well,
Right?
doctors are supposed to wash their hands a lot. And I always seem to have little hangnails. It's because I'm really washing my hands a lot.
But even as a patient.
Yes. Hospitals now are before we touch a patient and after we touch a patient. It's one of the nation's safety goals. We're supposed to wash our hands.
Okay.
So we're washing our hands a lot, and then we have to find the right cream so we don't tear up our hands. But we really need to do that. The gloves are fine for some things, but you need to wash your hands. Doctors, even though they're putting gloves on, are washing their hands before they're doing it. There are these prolonged preps, how long they've
Right.
got to wash their hands. Now, for us, a regular person to go to the bathroom and wash their hands or in the sink, you don't have to do those long preparations. I mean, you're supposed to get your hands wet. We have warm water down here, something that's fresh. If you're on a boat and you need to wash your hands, it doesn't have to be warm, just water. Put water on it, then you put your soap on it, and then you got to rub your hands and scrub.
Really lather
get down,
it up.
lather, make soap. That's why the liquid soaps have been such a hit with the kids. Actually, because they need to wash. It's hard to get them to wash for long
Right.
enough, and so they playing with
The
it.
more they
and-
scrub, the more lather
Right,
they
yeah.
get.
You need to
Okay.
get the back of your hands, between your fingers, under your nails. If you work with food, you're supposed to go up your arms.
Okay.
And there's a reason for that. I have to tell you, I was realizing I was chopping some type of fruit up, and I realized it's dripping, and I said, oh.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you work with particularly meats and things, they drip. And actually now with some of the foodstuffs that have become contaminated, we need regular vegetables and things. We need to do a good job working with our hands
Okay.
and washing them. It's supposed to be for 20 seconds. If you want to know how long 20 seconds is, sing happy birthday. And that's how long
I heard
it
that
takes.
today. Okay.
And after you get your hands washed, then you can dry them. Now, if you don't have soap, you can use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol.
Okay.
There are a number of these available. The higher the alcohol in it, the better. It's more effective. You don't have to go 60 is what you need. You don't need to go too much higher than that because it starts getting real rough on
Right.
your hands and making you have a lot of dry skin. So we try to do better.
Okay.
And then it's the same thing. You get them wet and then you kind of rub it around and
Okay.
And it gets to be fun to do it. Now, this is effective for lots of bacteria. It is not effective for spores. Like if somebody gets C. difficile diarrhea, it is not effective for that. But it's effective for most common bacteria and viruses.
Okay.
And it's, if you're somewhere and you don't have access to running water, it works fine. I happen to ride on a Mardi Gras float. And the bathrooms, of course, don't.
Oh, yeah.
Don't. We now have hand sanitizer in ours.
Oh, cool.
And that, people come to me. They know
Is
I
that
do
just on your float?
No, it's on my float. It's
Okay.
funny. And most women are a little bit more about this. They're going to have some hand sanitizers around.
Right.
But
that's interesting.
I've gotten used to going to do this. I mean, we ID doctors laugh about the fact that we spend a lot of time washing our hands, and we we go to the bathrooms and we go, where are those places that people don't wash their hands? We're all in line, soaping our hands away, having a good old time doing it.
Great. Well, is hand washing more important to adults or children?
It's important to everybody.
Everyone, okay.
Everybody needs to learn because everybody gets it. And there are places where you wouldn't think about making a child wash their hands. After he plays with a pet, if he goes to a petting zoo.
Ooh.
I mean, I have to tell you, I mean, you go to a petting zoo, don't let your kid get his fingers anywhere near his mouth before you use some sanitizer. That's why they have sanitizers when they're leaving. That's really important because they can get various bacteria from the pets.
Okay. And let's see, how often do Americans actually wash their hands?
About, I think we have there 1 in 3. I think that's it. We don't do it enough.
Really?
We don't do it enough.
You don't realize until you see the statistics, right?
No.
Wow.
It says the statistics say 2/3 of the adults in the U.S. wash their hands after using bathrooms, but only less than half wash it after cleaning up their pets. We don't wash enough.
Right.
Well,
I'm learning that tonight. We don't wash enough, so we're going to work on that. I know we will at my home. Okay.
It's something you wouldn't think about, and if you have there's a real, as I said before, there's a cute little video on the CDC website, www.cdc.gov. It's a public website, and you can go to it. And if you're not sure how to do it, it's on there, and it's actually cute and tells you how to do it.
Okay, www.cdc.gov. Okay, we'll have to check that out. Well, I think hand sanitizers are about not really as effective.
But they are really good for most bacteria. But if you have visible dirt on it, it won't cut it. If you've got goopy, junky, slimy stuff on there, go wash the stuff off.
Okay, and I think they have some other stats for us, Dr. Eschete. How often do Americans wash their hands? Women are more likely to wash their hands after using a public restroom if another woman is in the bathroom with them.
If there's something with you. If you think someone's watching you, you're more likely to do it. Okay, and if you're I do teaching of residents and medical students, and we have on the carts with the patient's charts on them, we have our hand sanitizers, and it's very effective. Okay, we saw that patient. Okay, everybody out here, and I hit that pump, and everybody put your hands on.
Everybody's watching, right? Everybody's watching. Okay, and then I think 1 in 4 adults do not wash their hands after changing diapers. Wow. That's not too great. 1 in 3 adults will wash their hands after sneezing or coughing. Less than 1 in 5 adults wash their hands after touching money. And we all know everyone touches money.
And money is dirty.
Money's dirty. Dirty money.
Dirty money. And you got to wash your hands.
Okay. All right. And then
this is the E. coli occurrences result from not washing hands before handling food. And these are mostly the toxigenic. There are a bunch of, some E. coli are not toxigenic, don't make toxins, don't cause diarrheal illnesses. But 1 in 3 people don't. You're supposed to wash your hands before. And it's like to me, it's common sense type things, and I would have thought that most people do. You remember when you were in grade school? When they lined you up to wash your hands. Remember they had those washing things, those with the water coming out, and everybody had to stand there and wash their hands.
But that was just like at lunchtime.
At lunchtime to make you wash your hands before you ate.
Okay.
And it's kind of, we forget some of those things. Somebody had it right. Somebody was trying to do the right thing teaching us.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, it's things you do. I am constantly amazed about people not washing their hands any at all.
Well,
it's hard sometimes. They get sore. You get and you forget, and you say, "Oh, I got to go wash my hands." I mean, if you don't, you can get something. I mean, and when you can get it even when you don't. People say, "Oh, I had that diarrhea last week." Well, I can tell you,
you can
even
get
if they had it last. Well, the thing is, if they had it last week, it doesn't mean they still don't have they recovered the acute symptoms. It doesn't mean that person doesn't have that bacteria on their
skin. So
that's
super, even more important
That's right.
Okay.
You get grown-ups get their diarrheal illnesses from their children.
Okay, all right. Well, now if anyone would like to learn any more about hand washing, like Dr. Eschete said before, you can visit TGMC online at www.tgmc.com or even the cdc.gov site for that little video. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Eschete, and you can come back and visit with us anytime.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that'll wrap it up for tonight with To Your Health with TGMC. We'll look forward to seeing you next Wednesday for Bayou Time with Shawnee Burgard. But tomorrow night, we'll also have Bayou Time. So I'm not sure who'll be hosting, but we'd love to have you. Thank you.